Thank you very much, Mr. Koltovich. Now I would like to ask Mr. Looi Teck Kheong, Head of Competition, Consumer Protection and Intellectual Property Rights Division Association of Southeast Asian Nations, to give us his views regarding the ASEAN's initiative and to enhance and integrate competition frameworks and to facilitate cooperation among national authorities within the region.
That a consumer can use your cell phone to verify and make sure that what they pull off the shelf and buy actually came from the manufacturer as indicated on the packaging. And so by using serialization and the vast network of mobile devices, we're able to connect brands and consumers directly to make sure that consumers are not ripped off. The face of the company has changed significantly. When we started off, most of the staff in the US.
Madam Chairperson, Ms. Katrina No, Your Excellency, Mr. Vladimir Koltovich, Mr. Arman Shakalia, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm very pleased to join you today in a panel of notable and distinguished speakers who share with you ASEAN's work on competition policy and law, in particular the recent key developments and challenges with respect to strengthening our regional competition cooperation framework. The importance of ASEAN has increased enormously over recent decades with the transformation of the region in an increasingly well-regulated, dynamic and creative platform for trade and investment across what many regard as the world's fastest developing economic region. In spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, ASEAN's commitment to strengthening regional cooperation has been unwavering and provides assurances to reinforce the region's priorities of securing peace and order, economic growth and prosperity, and social cohesion and integration. It also reaffirms the need for an ASEAN comprehensive recovery framework, which is aimed at mitigating the socio-economic effects of the pandemic while propelling the economic trajectory. With respect to ASEAN's cooperation on competition, the ASEAN's Experts Group on Competition, or also known as the AEGC, has issued a joint statement in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which calls on all business sectors to continue to comply with the competition law and contact their respective national competition authorities to ensure their activities do not contravene the laws. It also reiterates the AEGC's commitment to strengthen cooperation and ensure timely exchange of information and best practices to address anti-competitive conducts during the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, competition policy and law is considered vital to the process of ASEAN liberalization. Effective competition law enforcement is integral to ensure that the ASEAN markets are kept open to new entrants and that anti-competitive behavior does not distort fair competition. Promoting fair competition is supportive of a people-oriented ASEAN as it ultimately translates into enhanced consumer welfare due to better quality and range of products and services. In this context, the competition section under the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025 highlights the need for effective competition regimes with strengthened capacities, a more competition-aware region, and putting in place regional arrangements on competition. These strategic measures were then translated into strategic goals under the ASEAN Competition Action Plan 2025, or also known as the ACAP 2025, which paved the way for a more robust enforcement of competition policy and law in ASEAN. The need for regional cooperation on competition law between the AMS is formally recognized in the strategic goals and initiatives of the ACAP 2025. And as markets become more integrated, cooperation between competition agencies become more vital, as it will help save resources and avoid duplication of efforts, provide experience sharing, and assist to provide consistency of decisions in resolving anti-competitive disputes or at least non-conflicting outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, competition policy and law development in ASEAN has progressed at a remarkable speed. In just over 10 years since the formation of the AAGC, in 2007, regional cooperation has strengthened as illustrated with almost all competition laws now in force, with Cambodia expected to enact its competition law by 2021, and enforcement activities on the rise, the setting up of 9 competition authorities in ASEAN member states, the development and updating of the ASEAN regional guidelines on competition policy, the undertaking of more than 20 capacity building activities for competition officials annually, the convening of the biennial ASEAN Competition Conference, and the setting up of the ASEAN Competition Enforcers Network, as well as the virtual ASEAN Competition Research Center. Efforts to advance the regional cooperation agenda on competition policy and law continues on this day, as cross-border mergers, international cartels, and other cross-border anti-competitive conducts by multinational companies are on the rise. Concurrently, there's a worldwide trend of increased convergence of competition rules and case-related coordination efforts among jurisdictions. These trends prompted ASEAN member states to establish and enhance cooperation arrangements on competition policy and law, with a view towards working out a common understanding on the legal framework and procedural requirements, as well as exploring the possibility of taking on joint actions. In the absence of a supranational competition agency, ASEAN member states will have to start laying the foundation for an adequate cooperation mechanism to address competition cases affecting more than one jurisdiction. This is undertaken in light of the different levels of competition policy and law development amongst ASEAN member states, as well as differences in institutional setup, which can affect the level of readiness and the types of cooperation ASEAN member states can engage in. Consistent with the initiatives under the ACAP 2025, several studies have been commissioned to understand the commonalities and differences in competition legislations between ASEAN member states. These studies provide in-depth assessment of the substantive competition rules in ASEAN, so as to be able to identify possible prioritized areas for convergence. This year, the AAGC has identified 2 annual key deliverables, namely the regional study on exclusions and exemptions from competition laws in ASEAN, and the study on recommended procedures for cooperation on cross-border competition cases. In its preliminary findings, the studies found that much regional convergence can be achieved through soft law, coordination and cooperation between regulators. The AAGC is also in the process of reviewing its ACAP 2025, which is expected to be finalized at the end of this year. The review is expected to come up with an updated implementation schedule comprising of initiatives relevant to strengthening regional cooperation until 2025. Based on preliminary discussions among the AAGC, notable initiatives that are to be explored in the future includes the development of an information portal on merger cases and utilizing the accent as a platform to deepen discussions on case-related or non-case-related issues affecting the region. Cooperation amongst regulators in the region is also facilitated by provisions under free trade agreements, such as the ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement, which is currently being reviewed, as well as the highly anticipated Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which is expected to be signed this coming November with the cooperation of development partners, stakeholders, and the business sector. We hope to build ASEAN into a very vibrant and competitive region, resilient and strong, and able to face challenges and grow into an integrated community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Teck Kheong. Now I would like to